Before we start out the video, Happy New Year guys, and it looks like we have our very first new model of 2026 and it's from China. China just released a new open coding model that's quietly beating GPT 5.1 and Claude Sonnet 4.5 on some of the hardest software engineering benchmarks we have. This isn't another autocomplete model, this thing fixes real GitHub issues, runs tools, and handles full repositories. The model is called IQuest-Coder V1, and today I want to walk you through why this is a big deal, how it works, and then we'll actually look at the demos on their website. So let's get into it. IQuest-Coder V1 is a brand new family of open weight coding models coming out of China. It comes in multiple sizes, 7 billion, 14 billion, and 40 billion parameter models, but the flagship model is the 40 billion version, and it includes a special architecture they call LoopCoder. I'll get into that later on in the video. But what makes this model interesting isn't just raw size, it's how it's trained and what it's optimized for. Instead of focusing only on code completion, IQuest-Coder is designed for agentic software engineering, meaning long horizon tasks, tool usage, debugging, and repository level reasoning. Most coding models are trained on static snapshots of code. IQuest-Coder takes a different approach. They introduce what they call a code flow multi-stage training pipeline. In simple terms, the model doesn't just see finished code, it learns how code evolves over time. That includes commit histories, patches, bug fixes, tool outputs, test failures, and recoveries. The idea is to teach the model how real software is built and maintained, not just how it looks when it's done. This matters a lot for tasks like Software Engineering Bench, where the model has to take an issue description and produce a patch that actually passes that test. The training pipeline has three major stages. Stage 1 is a large-scale pre-training on general text and massive amounts of code, followed by an annealing phase on high-quality repositories. Stage 2 is where things get interesting. This is mid-training with long context lengths, 32,000 and then 128,000 tokens, using reasoning data, agent trajectories, and full repository context. This stage teaches the model how to plan across multiple files, track state over long context, and recover from errors. Stage 3 is post-training, where the model splits into two paths, an instruct version for general coding assistant, and a thinking version trained with reinforcement learning for deeper reasoning and self-correction. So the training explains why the model is smart, but the LoopCoder architecture explains how it delivers that intelligence without exploding compute. This section shows why LoopCoder is actually interesting from a systems perspective, not just a benchmark trick. On the left, you're seeing a traditional dense former. If you want better performance, the only real option is to add more layers or more parameters. That means higher visual RAM usage, more memory bandwidth pressure, and harder deployment. On the right is LoopCoder. Instead of stacking more layers, it reuses the same transformer blocks multiple times. You could think of it like the model reading the problem once, then looping back and refining its understanding without increasing the parameter count. Because of that loop structure, you get a few important benefits. First, lower HBM overhead. Since parameters are shared across loops, the model needs less memory movement between GPU memory and compute units, which is one of the biggest bottlenecks in large models. Second, higher deployment efficiency. You're getting more reasoning steps on the same hardware, which matters a lot if you're running this in production. Third, performance is maintained. You're not trading intelligence for efficiency. The loop lets the model refine answers instead of bloating that architecture. And finally, scalability. Instead of scaling horizontally by adding more layers, LoopCoder scales temporarily through iterative computation. This wormhole animation is actually a really good metaphor. Scrolling forward represents the model moving deeper through reasoning passes. In a dense model, that depth only comes from adding layers, which is expensive. In LoopCoder, depth comes from iteration. The model loops back, reevaluating global context, and refines its output, all while keeping the same memory footprint. Before we move into the demos, I want to slow down on the benchmarks for a moment, because these aren't generic coding scores. Each of these tests something very specific about how the model behaves in real-world engineering workflows. Let's start with Software Engineering Bench Verified, because this is the most important one here. Software Bench isn't about writing functions from scratch. The model is given a real GitHub issue, a broken repository, and it has to generate a patch that actually passes tests. IQC scores 81.4, top one here, which is higher than GPT 5.1, Claude Sonnet 4.5, and Gemini 3 Pro. That's a strong signal that this model isn't good at code generation, It understands debugging, repository context, and how changes propagate across files. This benchmark heavily rewards agentic behavior, not just pattern matching. Next is LiveCodeBench version 6, which focuses on reasoning-heavy coding problems under strict contamination controls. What's interesting here is that the thinking variant of IQuest-Coder performs significantly better than the instruct version. That tells us the reinforcement learning path is actually doing something. The model is benefiting from iterative reasoning instead of just generating longer answers. LiveCodeBench says something different. Large compositional coding tasks that involve APIs, libraries, and multi-step instructions. IQC leads or matches top models here as well, which suggests it's strong at stitching together multiple concepts and not just solving isolated problems. Terminal Bench is one of my favorite benchmarks because it's very practical. The model has to operate inside a real terminal environment, running commands, handling errors, managing dependencies, and completing workflows end to end. Strong performance here shows that the model can actually add and not just suggest code. Then you have Mind2Web and BFCL, which test general tool use. Mind2Web evaluates whether an agent can follow instructions across real websites, while BFCL focuses on structured function calling and API usage. IQC performs competitively across both, which reinforces the idea that this model is built for tool-augmented workflows and not just chat-based coding. Finally, Full-Stack Bench evaluates end-to-end application development, back-end, front-end, and integration. Strong results here suggest the model can reason across layers of stack, which lines up with the long context, repository-aware training we talked about earlier. When you put all of these together, a clear pattern emerges. IQC isn't winning because it's bigger or more verbose, it's winning on benchmarks that reward planning, iteration, and tool use. And that's exactly what you would expect from a model trained on code evaluation, agent trajectories, and long context reasoning. Let's start with this example because it looks simple but is actually doing a lot under the hood. This is a real-time pixel sandbox where every particle follows different physical rules. Sand falls and piles up, water flows and spreads, stone blocks movement, and acid actually interacts with each other material. So let's take a look at this. So if I click on over here, you can see that the sand is falling and filling up the area. And based on where I click, it's going to land on that section. Then if I take water, it's going to fill up a specific area. So as you can see, since we have these sand blocks blocking the water path, it's going to follow that. Then we have stone. We can place that over here. And it's going to block the area. So now if I were to pour water over it, it would kind of, make its own path depending on where the stones are. And then we have acid, which is going to remove everything. What matters here isn't the visuals, it's actually the statefulness. The model has to generate logic that runs continuously and update thousands of elements every frame. And it has to keep everything stable as the system evolves. This is exactly the kind of task that breaks shallow code generators because the logic never stops running. It has to reason about cause and effort over time depending on what element we're pouring over in that simulation. The next simulation that we're looking at is the Boyd's flocking algorithm, but it's a great test of real reasoning. Each of these agents follows just a few local rules: separation, alignment, and cohesion. There is no global control telling them where to go. The overall flock behavior emerges from local interactions, so let's take a look at it. So if I move my mouse around here, you can see that these Boyds have to avoid that, and it kind of shows you how the flock works. But if I take away, we can see that that area is being filled up again. What's impressive here is that the model didn't just generate the algorithm, it built a tunnable system where you can adjust vision radius, speed, and force weights in real time. And when I move the mouse, the agents react instantly, scatter, and reorganize themselves. And this last demo is less about deep algorithms and more about the full stack competence. The model generates a full 3D solar system simulation, orbital mechanics, camera controls, different view models, and smooth interaction. You've got state management, rendering logic, user input handling, and physics concepts all working together. We can see this in action. So we can increase the speed of the simulation. We can do a side view, which is really cool. I think like having that section. Now we're in the free camera because we're moving around. Then we have the angle view. We have the top view. We also have the follow planet view. So we'll click on this, and right now we're following Venus. We'll slow this down a little. We can zoom in, zoom out. We can see, this is the orbital line. and we also have a description. So what's really cool here is that this is the first time I've seen a 3D simulation add all of these features, and it looks pretty amazing, and the graphics and everything look very cohesive. So this lines up well with his strong performance on full stack bench and larger compositional coding tasks. What I like about these demos is that they match the benchmarks. They're not just flashy, they show state, iteration, interaction, and recovery. And that's exactly what IQuest-Coder was trained to do. IQuest-Coder version 1 isn't just another coding model, it's a signal of where coding AI is going next. Less autocomplete and more autonomy. If you want, I'll test this model hands-on in a follow-up video. Just leave a comment if you would like that. If you enjoyed this video, this is what we do here. Fast, clear updates on the biggest moves in AI. If you want to stay ahead of everything happening in this space, make sure you're subscribed. And if you want the hands-on side, demos, tools, workflows, and everything developers can actually build with, check out the World of AI. We also run a simple no-noise newsletter that gives you the most important AI tools and updates in just a couple of minutes. Subscribe here, follow World of AI, join the newsletter, and I'll see you in the next one.